everyone, welcome to today's video. I am entertaining today a request from my live stream. So if you guys weren't here for the live stream, you missed out. You can catch the next one. I don't know when it will be, but we answered a lot of questions there about breed specific diets, which I totally intend to go more into maybe in my next video. And we talked about just all kinds of things, kidney disease in cats, and even hiking and all kinds of stuff. So definitely come hang out with us again for that. But today I'm going to answer a question I didn't have time to answer there, and that was related to a diet called the Natural Balance 6-in-1. So we're just going to do our regular review of that today. So I believe it was requested by Melissa, so this is from Melissa. If you have a request, you can definitely leave it in the comments. And maybe I'll get to your request in the future too. So my name is Dr. Ray. I'm a small animal general practitioner. I am hanging out in what looks like a prison but is not. It is actually like a little closet area at work where it's quiet. So I am sorry of the drab surroundings, but you know, we film when we can film. And we're gonna get ahead into the video today. Okay, so we have done Natural Balance before. This is not a new brand to us. We've done it before. You can check out the older videos by searching on your desktop. You can actually search my channel if you have a food that you're looking into and you want to know if I've reviewed it. I get a lot of questions about that, and I try to answer everybody, but it just gets to the point where it's too many questions asking like, have you reviewed that? Have you reviewed that? And chances are I probably have, because I've reviewed like over 200 foods. So you can search directly my playlists and my videos on my channel if you are on desktop, but I've been told that you cannot do that on mobile. And so for mobile, you just have to put like animal Doctorate and then the food, and then hopefully it would show you if I've done a video on it. But I do try to answer those questions if I can. So if you want to follow along, and I suggest that you do, you go to naturalbalanceinc.com. You can see that there on the top of the screen. And you can follow along. We're going to be using the pet food scoring system if you're not familiar with what that is. I have some videos explaining that. I also have a workbook, which is around here somewhere. Yes, actually, two workbooks to help answer your questions and not be confused. So if you're getting through this video and you're like, gosh, that seems like maybe this was a little bit easier way than I've been doing things, then thank you. That is what I am trying to do for you guys, make things easier. And it's all outlined like step by step in this workbook, and I think they're really fun. They are workbook style. You can the papers, you know, such that you can jot things down, and I've got some nice charts and easy reference for you in there, so highly recommend you check those out. Those are in my description box if you want to get one. Otherwise, I'm going to walk you through step by step today. So the food is here, the package, and we're gonna, if we can look at it, can we make it bigger? We can make it a little bit bigger. We're just going to dissect the front of the package, because a lot of people just go by what the package says, which is something you can do, but I also recommend that you pay a little closer attention to some of the finer details that we're going to talk about today. But you see, it's called the Health Protection, Nutritional Support for Health and Digestion. That's all, you know, means nothing. They can name the food whatever they want. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's anything special. So they could name it Tears from the Gods food, and it doesn't actually mean there's tears from the gods in it. Okay, so a name is just a name. So I want you guys to first be able to pick out the name from the package, and then understand that name means very little. They're saying it's 6-in-1 health support. It's for adult dogs, so that's important. We are going to check to make sure that even though it says it's for adult dogs, that it is actually substantiated by AFCO for adult dogs, and then even beyond that, doesn't meet the optimal standards for adult dogs. So we're going to get into that further, but it does say it's for digestive health, skin coat, heart support, bone and teeth, immune system, hip and joints. All those things I'm happy about. I love all those things. Goes further to say that it has prebiotics and probiotics. I think that's a good thing. In general, I think if you're really big on prebiotics and probiotics, if you want to be certain that what they're claiming is in there, the food has to have the NASC seal. If it does, it needs to be like a prescription food. There are some prescription foods that have those in there, like Hill's GI Biome. And then if not, you can always just add add those separately, and we talked about that in some separate videos. And you want to make sure that those supplements have the NASC seal on there. So prebiotics, probiotics, again, it's good to have, but you can't really guarantee what's in there if they don't have that seal. It says it's easy on digestion. It has real lamb as a #1 ingredient. You guys know that that call out is one of my, not pet peeves, but like my little personal chuckles, because what's not real lamb? Like what's fake lamb? So again, that's just to draw you in. They are saying that this is a lamb, brown rice, and pumpkin recipe. So it's not all lamb, brown rice, and pumpkin. There is a proportion of it that is that. And I think when they use the word recipe, I can't remember what the exact call out is. It's not really that important, but just so that you guys know, it's not all lamb, brown rice, and pumpkin. It is just in order to call it a recipe, they just have to meet a legal minimum for that, and I'll flash that up here because I don't want to misrepresent that to you guys. Okay, so that's all on the front of the package and means nothing. We're not assigning any points there. We're going to start assigning points now to the important things. So that's going to be the AFCO statement. Is it really an adult food? It's going to be assigned for the ingredients. Are we sure that we are not getting into some major health red flags, such as if it's grain-free or raw? We're going to be checking, of course, the guaranteed analysis for some key nutrient ingredients, and we're going to be checking the calorie composition to make sure that they are recommending the right amount, or if not, you guys feel comfortable calculating the right amount for your pet. So let's start with the nutritional statement. It is right here. And it says that the Natural Balance Health Protection formula is formulated, so they did not feeding trial this food, put it in a computer to give them the formula that they requested, which is fine. Above and beyond would be feeding trial, so they're not going to get a point for that, but it was established for maintenance of adults, so they are going to get 1 point on the AFCO statement. Next thing we're going to do is be looking at this ingredient list here. And so we've got that lamb, the lamb meal, which they're saying is a source of glucosamine and chondroitin. They're not saying what type of glucosamine. They're not saying if it's glucosamine hydrochloride or glucosamine sulfate. Again, the glucosamines I would prefer be added additionally, just so we can make sure we're getting the right amount and we're getting the right chemical nature of those. We've got the brown rice, oatmeal, we've got some sorghum, pearl barley, peas, dried yeast, and then of course we've got some chicken in there, which they are also saying are sources of the glucosamine and chondroitin, pumpkin, chicken fat, so on and so forth. We've got flaxseed in there, which is fine for fiber, but we're not going to be getting the omegas from flaxseed. We need our omegas from fish, and then so on and so forth there. Now, just bringing that up to your attention because I know some of you guys are interested in those things. That would be, getting into the ingredient list would be more of like the second tier if it meets the requirements of the first tier. So think of it as like dating, right? We're dating, dating this food. When you go on a date, on the first date, most of us don't get into like the big hitters, like the heavy hitters, right? We don't get into like religion or politics or anything like that on the first date. First date, we're just kind of see like, are they funny? Do they meet like some of the basic requirements that say, do I want to spend more time? Do I want to invest? And so that's what we're doing here. We're not getting into all these things until we can make sure it meets that like very basic needs, which is what my PSS scoring system is. So we're going to move on now that we've got 2 points for the ingredient list. We're going to move on now to the calories here. So 360 kcals per cup. And what we wanted to say is, if we can, in the feeding guidelines, we wanted to recommend, probably for a 20-pound dog, about 1 3/4 cups. Let me get my calculator here. It seems like maybe it's a lot, but let's calculate. 360 times 1.75. Is it going to be, yeah, it's a little bit over on that. It's a little bit over. Are we going to give him a point there? He's kind of like the top of where we're, yeah, we'll give it to him. It's less than 10% off, so we'll give it to him. So we're going to give him a point there for the feeding guide. Let's get into now everybody's favorite, which is the guaranteed analysis. We have 4 points going into the guaranteed analysis. There's 5 points they can get here if they meet the key nutrient ingredients. We've got some more call outs even on this particular page. So veterinary recommended with an asterisk, and it says that it is a U.S. veterinarian survey data on file. So you can certainly ask for that data. Veterinarian recommended, one veterinarian, two veterinarians, who knows who they are. So you always take that veterinary recommended with a grain of salt. Used to mean something, doesn't really much mean anything anymore. No corn, no soy, no wheat or byproduct meal ingredients. Again, that would be more of your second line approach. The number one ingredient is real poultry, meat, or fish. And so, we talked about that. What's fake poultry, meat, or fish? We don't know. That's just kind of a little buzzword thing there. And almost all the companies do it. Not all of them, but it tends to be a good marketing thing. So a lot of them are throwing that in there. Let's get into the guaranteed analysis here. Now, I want to be clear, this needs to be converted to a dry matter basis. There are different ways that you can do that. There are different calculators that you can use for that. I have a calculator on my computer, so I am going to pull that up so that we can use it really quick to be absolutely sure. Okay. So 1, 2, 3 magic. We'll have the numbers here for you guys, and I will superimpose it on the screen for you. But basically what we have done is we have, by converting this to a dry matter basis, we have removed any of the inconsistencies that different moisture contents have before food. So it lets us evaluate foods for what they are. It also allows us to compare them to the published standards. And so the published standards that we are using on this channel is Small Animal Clinical Nutrition. I have used those standards because they are more strict, more stringent, more perfect than AFCO standards or NRC standards or any other standards out there. They are a much smaller window, because all foods, as you can see, when the AFCO statement is evaluated, all these foods, even foods that score a 1 or a 2, which is really, really low, they meet AFCO standards. But we want perfection. I want for you perfection. You guys are coming to me for perfection, and so that's why we use those. And so using a dry matter basis allows us to use them against the standards. If you don't do that, at least maybe you say, well, it's just a first line approach, I really don't care of doing that in the first line. That's fine, you don't have to, but just know to be really perfect, you really should be doing that. And I have videos on how to do that. You can get numerous calculators online to do that. So with the protein, as we have now corrected that, and we have got it to show that it's 26.66 on a dry matter basis, that is correct, and that is in the range, so they are going to get a point there, bringing it up to a 5. The fat at 13.33 is also going to glean a point at 6. Fiber is going to actually bump over when we correct for dry matter basis, so we usually want it less than 5. There's nothing really wrong with extra fiber. You get really high in fiber, sometimes dogs will get loose stool, or they will get some gas fermentation happening there. So it is over. I'm not going to give them a point for that because it's not fair. We said they could only be 100th off and get the point. But there's not necessarily too many bad dietary effects from a slightly elevated fiber, but they can't get it. Means we're going to stay at a 6. The calcium, we want less than 1. We're at 1.11, so I can't give them a point there. And then the phosphorus at 0.88, we want that less than 0.8, so I cannot give them a point there, which means this is going to stall out at a 6. And so when you take these foods, it's really important that you evaluate it, the positives, the negatives, the shortcomings, and things like that, and see how it lines up with your needs. So you may say that this only scored a 6. It was slightly off in some of those parameters, like let's say I don't care if it's formulated, and so you're going to take that into consideration, and if you don't consider that, maybe it bumps it up to a 7. You're going to say, well, the fiber was a little bit off, but my dog needs the extra fiber, and so you're going to bump that up to an 8. Plus it's available, plus it has, my dog does well on it. I've tried them on, it does well. It's in my price point, and so you're going to factor all those things in. But I want you to always be able to have a base that you can evaluate food on. And so for me, this is a 6, and this may be the highest level food that you have been able to find for your particular vet that fits some of your other needs, and that's completely fine. I'm not telling you what to feed. I'm teaching you a systematic approach to look at things and not get confused or caught up in some of the ancillary things like the words holistic, or things like you can only feed a fresh food. Only fresh foods are nutritious. That's not true. That doesn't have to be true. That's the marketing trying to confuse you. And so today we ran Natural Balance 6-in-1 Health Protection Formula through the pet food scoring system. It is going to be scoring a 6 when evaluated on a dry matter basis. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and you will come and hang out with me again soon. Hang out with me on my live streams. Go over to Facebook, go over to Instagram, do other things, and share with your friends.